Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage at Bannister Hyundai. All right, we're doing the 2024 Kona Electric. This is the ultimate trim, and very excited to show you all the features on this vehicle. Big improvements over the outgoing model. This has been all new, redesigned for 2024, and it's got some really big, awesome improvements that I'm super excited to show you about. First thing first, this vehicle is 6 inches longer. So the biggest change from the outgoing model is just the overwhelming amount of space in comparison to the 2023. So obviously there's new features. There's a slightly bigger battery, slightly better range, but really it's all about the space. So the reason that I'm excited about this is because I couldn't really sit behind myself in the outgoing model, and this one I can because there's enough room for it now. I mean, I could in the other one, but I'd have to move the seat forward a little bit. Now, I don't have to. I can just sit back here. So, first thing I want to show you is a cool feature that you've seen on other Hyundais before as well, and that is Smart Park. So I'm going to go ahead and remote start the vehicle here. So you can see the little LED lights just flashing away there. So check this out. I got some buttons on the key fob. I'm going to hold this down, and you'll see what happens here. There we go. So the vehicle is now moving on its own, just holding the button on the remote. Unfortunately, the remote is this new style from Hyundai, the Hyundai badge. It's kind of egg shape, and it has the separate spade key or the separate metal key there, which is kind of annoying. Not the greatest key design in my opinion. So horsepower and torque, 201 horsepower, 188 foot-pounds of torque. So it is actually a little bit slower than the outgoing model because, of course, it is bigger, weighs more, and it actually has less torque by about 100 foot-pounds, which is interesting. But no matter, we're going to go over all of the features, all of the cool stuff about this vehicle, and tell you what, we're going to start at the back. We're going to go ahead and open up the tailgate because this really is the biggest change. Still don't have a power tailgate, unfortunately. In the States, they get a power tailgate for the top trim. Here we don't. But check this out. This trunk space went from a measly 19.2 cubic feet to 25.5 cubic feet. Now, with the 60-40 split rear bench down, it increased from 45.8 cubic feet all the way to 63.7 cubic feet. So it is a way bigger trunk. Of course, we still have the removable privacy cover here, but they did actually add something kind of neat. When you take the privacy cover out, you can actually clip it in behind the rear seat here. You can see it kind of goes into this little stud instead of this one, and then this thing kind of holds it back. Doesn't work with the cargo tray, but yeah, if you don't have the cargo tray, then that's a little feature. A bunch of underfloor storage. There's actually room here now for a spare tire, so if you wanted to get a spare tire, you can put one in here. It does come with a tire mobility kit though, which quite honestly is easier to use than a spare tire anyway. Also back here is the subwoofer for the audio system, so it does have the higher end audio system in this trim level. And as I mentioned before, the split folding rear bench seat, so we'll try putting one of those down as well. All right, so now with the seat down, you can see that the floor is actually the same height as the seat back, so you can really slide stuff in there. It's quite a bit of space, over 60 cubic feet with the seats down. And I didn't have to move the front seat out of the way in order to make room for the seat when I put it down. So that's kind of a nice thing. So let me jump in the back seat here real quick, just so you can see. I have the front seat back quite a bit, and you can see I still have room in front of my legs here. So very comfortable place to be. I have soft armrest on that side. I have a soft center cup holder armrest on this side, and it's nice and supported here. It doesn't flop around on the seat. Space underneath the front seat to stick my feet. And down here I've got 2 USB-C ports. They are backlit, so at night you'll be able to see these quite easily. And there's a nice little storage compartment there for your cell phone. Good hard seat backs and pockets in both of the seat backs. There is grip handles in all 4 corners, so that's good to see as well. And then a little LED dome light up there. As for the material in here, it's leather, or leatherette anyway, and it's pretty nice, perforated leather, kind of same as the outgoing one, nothing too different there. But the seats are actually quite comfortable. And check this out, I can actually recline the seats a little bit now as well. So not only is there more room, the seats are more comfortable, and they recline. So win-win, win-win. All right, let's check out under the hood. So something to keep in mind with this 2024 Kona is very much unlike the outgoing model. This vehicle was built from the ground up to be an electric vehicle, and then they modified it for the gas version, whereas the outgoing model was built to be a gas vehicle, and then it was modified to make it work as an electric vehicle. So what's that done? Well, it's actually afforded the ability to do things like add a frunk. So check that out. So it's actually a deep little one. This is much better than what you'll find in the Ioniqs, which is actually kind of a nice change. It's a good amount of usable space. You have quick access to your accessory battery here. Fuses over there, of course. Coolant for the battery and the electric motor there. Yeah, it's not a huge frunk, but it's much better than the Ioniq 5 and 6. Another nice thing here is you do have hood struts to keep the hood up, and even though it's an EV, it's still insulated hood and insulation down on the firewall there as well. So a few stats, the overall average range of this vehicle is 418 kilometers, so 3 kilometers better than the outgoing model, and it is a 400 volt architecture, not an 800 volt like the Ioniq 5 and 6s. So charge times from 10 to 80%, around 43 minutes or so. So it's definitely faster than things like a Nissan Leaf or Chevy Bolt EUV to charge, but it's still fairly average in the market today as far as charge speeds. But this vehicle wasn't put out there and wasn't designed to be, a supercharged king or whatnot. They, designed it to keep the price down low, still have a good amount of space in the vehicle. It's more than just your typical average basic commuter, but not as much as some of the more premium market vehicles like the Ioniq 5 and 6. Now, on the front here, we do have some nice features. Obviously, you've got your forward parking sensors, which are also used for the Smart Park Assist. You've got access to your charge port here, of course, level 1, 2, and level 3. You can see we've got some pixels on this. Now, this vehicle is loaded with pixels. You can see them everywhere. That's just a typical thing for Hyundai EVs now. But yeah, you got 4 pixels here, which denote, well, I guess there's 5 with this button, which denote the charge level. So 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100%. And having the charge door at the front definitely makes things more convenient when you're pulling into a charge station. You'll also notice the light bar, unlike the gas model, is separated by all the little pixels there as well, which is kind of cool. We do also have, of course, projection headlights and high beams, as well as LED signals. And around the side here, you can see we've got aluminum alloy wheels, so a very, very aerodynamic wheel cover here. Wheel, it's not a cover, this is actually all aluminum. And as far as the tires that come on this vehicle, it's a set of Kumo Solus tires. They are mud and snow rated all-season tire. It's a 215/60 R17, so a very small wheel, considering the new Kona gas models get 19-inch wheels. This is only coming with 17, but that, of course, is helping the range some, because the bigger the wheel and tire combo, the heavier they are, and the worse the range. So kind of nice to see that they just kind of stuck with 17-inch wheels on this, keeping the range high. We have marker lights on the mirrors. You'll notice there's a camera there as well. It's part of the 360 camera system, which I'll show you later. We do have blind spot monitoring as well. And we do have also the new digital key functionality. So there's no physical button here, but there is a touch-sensitive button that you can use to lock and unlock the doors. So essentially, to unlock the doors, you're just going to put your hand in there and open it up. And to lock the doors, you'll press that button there and it'll lock the doors for you. Now, coming around to the back, actually before I get to the back here, you'll notice it does have the roof rail still, so you'll be able to put cross rails on there. Coming around to the back, we have some LED tail lights, just regular backup lights. There's more sensors, more pixels back here, of course, and then window wiper on this one, which is nice. Your center mounted stoplight in the top there. So nothing too much to talk about back here. It does, of course, have the big, beautiful, long LED light bar, and again, all pixels as well. So, yeah, reasonably nice looking vehicle. Definitely a little better than the outgoing model as far as space, as I mentioned. But as far as styling, that, of course, is subjective. I like it. I don't know that I like it better than the outgoing model. I thought that was kind of a nice looking car. There's one sitting right over there, but it was kind of small. Okay, having a look at the interior of the front. Now, This one does have a power driver seat, but a manual passenger seat. However, despite being a manual passenger seat, it does have height adjustment, so that's nice. I haven't completely forgotten about the passenger. But let's jump in the driver's seat here and go over some of the features. All right, so sitting in the driver's seat, as you can see, I have oodles of space. I've got lots of leg room, lots of headroom. I've got a power sliding sunshade here above my head, and I've still got, or sunroof, and I've still got lots of room here. Sunroof opens up quite wide as well, so that's kind of cool. As far as the comfort, well, the armrest is padded on the door as well as the center, and the seat, as I mentioned, it is power. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-way adjustable power. So it is a very nice, comfortable seat. As far as buttons on the left here, pretty straightforward, just windows and mirror controls, nothing crazy there. We have our dimmer switch right here, our traction and stability control button, and then our power e-brake, which we simply pull to set the e-brake. And when we want to turn the e-brake off, it's just a matter of pushing that in with your foot on the brake or just putting the car into drive. That'll do it as well. All right, so looking at the stock behind the steering wheel, your turn signal stock, it is, of course, automatic headlights, automatic high beams, and then, of course, it has that one-touch turn signal. But check this out. As you can see, when your turn signal is on, now you do have, with the 360 camera system, the blind view monitor in the screen as well. So that's awesome. We have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and we also now have the ability to put the vehicle into iPedal mode. So you'll notice there on the bottom right hand corner it says iPedal. So that is one pedal, full one pedal driving. Let's turn that off. Full one pedal driving in this vehicle now. So if you take your foot off the accelerator, you will eventually come to a stop, and it's actually, I shouldn't say eventually, it stops fairly quickly when it's in iPedal, and it will completely stop. And then when you put your foot back on the accelerator, it'll go. So you literally don't have to hit the brake pedal in most circumstances. And of course, on the right hand side, you have the other paddle here, which will then decrease your level of regeneration. As you can see down here, we're level 1, and then we can all go all the way down to level 0. So the ability to really customize your levels of regeneration is something that Hyundai has done ever since day one with the 2017 Ioniq. But now they've added on the Kona the ability to have complete full one pedal driving, which is nice. On the left side of the steering wheel is the controls for your cruise system as well as your center screen here, so I can actually adjust what's on the screen here using these buttons, which we'll go over in a bit. We have adaptive cruise control and then lane keep assistance. So this is full-on lane centering. You can see the little icons here in the screen. So lane centering as well as lane keep, which is the one right beside it. They're very similar. The lane keep assistance kind of bounce off the lines, and the lane centering will really kind of keep you in the center of the road, and it works at any speed with or without cruise control. You don't need cruise control on for that. Of course, we have our 4 pixels on the steering wheel. That is Morse code for the letter H, in case you're wondering. And then on the right-hand side is all of the buttons for the stereo, and this is nice because they've kind of segmented, Hyundai has done this with all their vehicles, but they've kind of segmented this off just for the stereo. So none of these buttons control anything on that screen. It's just for that one to keep things simple. Now in the Ioniqs, this is on the other side. So that's the only weird thing, is that they've, I don't know why, but that's just the way they've done it. All right. Behind the steering wheel here is the shift stalk. So you've got forward, neutral, reverse, and then press the end for park. Pretty easy to use. So this stalk doesn't move up and down or anything. You just rotate the end bit there. Okay, looking at the center console, you can see we have 2 cup holders here, a little bit of storage, a little bit more storage back here. Or if I move this center console out of the way here, I'll show you what you can do. You can actually roll in these cup holders and take this out, and now you have all of this space for whatever. And it's all nice and plastic here, so if you threw like a wet umbrella in here, for instance, that's just something you could use this for. So this little divider just kind of pulls out. It's pretty simple. Not a lot of people know about that. So I'll put that back, and then if I want the cup holders back, simply press those buttons, boom, they pop out, and then you just got the little storage console here. And also this armrest, you'll notice it flips up, but there's a little tray. There it is. A little tray that goes right here. So you can put whatever in there, maybe coins or whatnot. And it is nice and padded as well. Okay, then looking further forward, we have our drive mode. So of course, this vehicle is equipped with multiple drive modes. Now it is just front wheel drive. So if I have a look at the screen here, I'll cycle through the drive modes. We have Eco, Normal, Sport, and Snow. And despite being front wheel drive, it's actually reasonably decent in the snow. But the snow mode basically is going to start you off a little bit slower and make the traction control a little bit more aggressive. Eco mode is going to also start you off a bit slower. It's also going to keep the climate control in the lower economical setting. Normal is just normal. Sport gives you a bit more kick, more low-end acceleration, and it also puts you into sort of a higher climate control power function as well. So beside that drive mode button, you have a bunch more buttons here. So you got heated steering wheel, and it's 2 levels, which is nice. So the whole steering wheel is heated all the way around. And if you don't like it boiling hot, you can put it on a lower setting. You've got ventilated seats, heated seats, also 3 levels each. And I just pointed those out wrong. That's your heated seat, that's your ventilated seat. Got your auto hold button, which will just stop the vehicle from moving when you take your foot off the brake. Pointless if you're using iPedal, of course, but if you're not, then that's what that does. You've got the camera button here, which I'll show you in a minute. We've got your backup sensors there, and then of course the passenger side heated and cooled seat. Wireless charging. This is also NFC, so if you're using digital key, so if you're using your phone to get into the car and start the car, that's where you put your phone. If your phone is capable of, I think it's UWP or UBW or something like that, some acronym that I can't remember the name of, then you don't necessarily need to put your phone there. But if your phone just has NFC, then that's where you would put your phone. So currently it only works with iPhones, Samsung phones, and Galaxy phones, and not all of them, but most of those. Okay, looking at above that, we have our USB port that connects directly to the screen or just charges, depending on which way you've got this set. And then our USB port here just for charging, and then a little Qi wireless light comes on when you're charging wirelessly there. This is also a 12-volt port with a very highly engineered little door there. And then you have your seatbelt lights right here. So passenger seatbelt as well as the seatbelts in the rear. So this is kind of cool because now you'll be notified of anybody that's not wearing a seatbelt. So that's pretty cool. We have our dual zone automatic climate control with 3 levels of automatic, and hard buttons everywhere. So this is really, really nice. I recently watched a video with Sandy Monroe, who was a vehicle engineer, consultant, runs a consulting company for automotive manufacturers and how they can save money. And his biggest thing is that, no part is the best part. So, or the best part is the part that doesn't exist. And he really doesn't like physical buttons. He's saying, why not just put everything in the screen? Well, the reality is that most people hate using the screen to do things like changing the temperature or turning on the heated seats or the heated steering wheel and whatnot, or using voice recognition for those things. So on the one hand, I agree with him. In order to reduce costs, it's not a bad idea. But the reality is that most people want to still have a physical button that they can press rather than have to find it through menus in a screen. So it's kind of nice to see that, Hyundai has maintained all of this functionality, all these buttons in order to do all these different things. And same goes for the stereo. So you got all the hard buttons here for the stereo, your volume knob, your tuning knob, home, map, search, media, seek, track, star. The star here is a customizable button. So when I press that the first time, I can actually choose what I want it to do. I'm going to go ahead and put that on phone projection. And then of course the setup button there as well. Also there's a star button on the steering wheel, which I generally will set to go to the home screen. And that way you have a really quick means of going back to the home screen. So new for 2024 is of course wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. So that's a cool thing. So we never used to have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay on these screens that had built-in navigation. All right, so as you can see, I am using my phone to make this video, and I've got Android Auto up on the screen, and it's completely wireless. It's not plugged in. So just realized just how ridiculously easy it is to use. It's actually a slightly different series of connection events than our old systems that had wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, and no navigation built in. So kind of cool. If I hit the home button down here now and hit, you know what, I just realized this no longer needs to be set up for the home button because there's actually a physical home button here. So if I hit map now, where does it take us? Well, it takes us to the built-in vehicle map. So that's interesting. If I hold this, I wonder if it gives me the option to choose. No. So the built-in map button still takes us to that screen. Isn't that interesting? So the star, of course, I've got that set up to go to here, which is interesting. It's working fine. But the map button, I wonder if I start navigating with this, if it'll take us there. Let's see here. Map. Nope, still takes us to the built-in navigation system. Isn't that funny? But I did actually just notice something super cool. So I'm going to go back to Android Auto here, and it's showing me that we're on Yale Road and we got to go this way. But one thing that our old cars couldn't do with the head-up display was actually pull data from Android Auto and put it on the head-up display. But now, check this out. I'm going to zoom in here. It's actually showing me Yale Road, go that way. So that is now the head-up display on the glass, by the way, and it's pulling data from Android Auto. That's awesome. What a big, big improvement there. My 2023 Ioniq 6 doesn't even do that. Okay. Well, hopefully there'll be an update one day. But anyway, so here we go. So we have Android Auto up on the screen. Nice. All right, so we're going to skip the rest of this for the moment here and talk about the rest of the car. So I'm going to go up to the mirror. We've got an auto-dimming rearview mirror with 3 garage door buttons or gate buttons. Above that, we have our headliner console thing, whatever you want to call it. We have LED lights here. We have our control for our sunroof, control for the interior lights, and then buttons for BlueLink. So call for emergency assistance and call for roadside assistance. And BlueLink is free in Canada for 3 years. And basically what it allows you to do is control the vehicle's functionality from your cell phone. So you can unlock the doors, lock the doors, start the climate control. When you start the climate control, you can actually even have it turn on like the heated steering wheel and the defrost and stuff like that if it's snowy outside or frozen outside. You can do that all from your cell phone. You can even find the car on a map. It has a locate button that tells you exactly where your car is. Pretty cool. And then in an emergency situation, if you get into an accident, it will call emergency services for you. So if you're unconscious and you can't hit the SOS button, no matter, the airbags have deployed, it's going to do that for you anyway. So some really cool functionality there. And yeah, comes free for 3 years. That's awesome. As far as the visors, they do both slide and they do both have mirrors and lights. And then let me see what else is there to talk about. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm actually going to talk about the little center screen here for the moment though. Or the instrument cluster screen. So 2 12-inch screens. So that's 12-inch instrument cluster, 12-inch infotainment screen. But I want to show you what the different things are. I'm just going to get rid of this. There's not so much glare. All right, so I'm going to show you the different screens that you can see on this instrument cluster here. So the way that I'm moving through the menus is this button right here will cycle along the different menus. And you can see there's 3 lines at the bottom there. I'm going from left to right as I repeatedly press that button. So we're going to start on the far left. And then I'm going to use the little scroll wheel, which is also an OK button, you'll notice, to go up and down through these menus. So on that far left menu, you notice those 5 dots on the right here. I can actually cycle through those dots now with the different screens. So we've got our current trip, which shows our total accumulated distance, how long the vehicle's been running, our average kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then our instant kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is that line along the bottom. So wherever that little arrow is what it figures is the instant fuel consumption, or in this case, electricity energy consumption. So if I drop it down 1, we have our since recharging, and this one we can reset by holding that OK button, and drop it down again. This one is just sort of the overall total accumulated information. We can reset that as well. Drop it down, we have our range guide, so you know how much range we have. You'll notice that 523 kilometers, that's sort of the absolute max. So if I put the vehicle into eco mode here, let's just do that. It's going to bump that, that middle line up. So now it says 398 kilometers. If I shut off the climate control, it's gone up to 412 kilometers. I really don't know what the 569 kilometers thing. Oh, you know what this is? This is new for Hyundai, actually. I haven't seen this before. So basically what it's doing now is it's saying, okay, if you drive like a crazy person, you'll probably only get 302 kilometers. But if you take it easy, you'll get 569 kilometers. So this I've seen on GM products before. So this is what it expects you to get, but there's kind of a max and a minimum depending on the total speed that you're going, your average speed. So that's kind of cool. So if you really need to stretch it to 569, just drive really slowly and you'll get there. So that's kind of cool. I've never seen that on a Hyundai before. And then we have our tire pressure monitor here, which will only start to display pressures as you start to drive, and that's just the very nature of the new way to do TPMS. So you'll see that on most cars now. All right, let's flip over to the next menu. So we have our this is another place where it's pulling the directions from Android Auto, so that's kind of nice. There's nothing else in this one, so if I roll up and down on the wheel here, it doesn't actually show me anything. But let me cancel the route and see what this changes to. So cancel that. All right, yeah, so as I expected, it changes to a compass. And again, there's nothing else in that screen. So if I bounce it over to the right one more, we have our drive info here. So this is now showing, if I was using cruise control, for instance, it would show me, you know, our distance between us and the car in front of us. It will show other cars on the screen here as well. So that's pretty much it in that screen. There's not a whole lot of customization on these particular screens. You can change some of the background colors and whatnot, but that's going to be in the infotainment screen. All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about just this, basically. This is all that's kind of left with this review. I'm going to warn you here, guys, that this is going to take a while because there is a lot to talk about on this. On one of my recent videos, somebody complained that 3/4 of the video was about the infotainment screen. Well, I mean, when this is the most complicated part of the vehicle, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. All right, so what we're going to do here, we are going to start on the left, make our way to the right, and that's of, you know, the various menus. First off, I want to show you on the top left corner, we have the ability to change which profile we're in. So currently we're in guest, and we can also change the settings of the profile, and we can go straight to the online manual, which is kind of cool. So if I tap guest and say change user, I can, you know, go to driver 1. Now, what's cool is that when you set this up with BlueLink, it'll actually link an account so that your account name is what your actual name is, and then you can also change things like your account image and stuff like this little image here. You can change that, make it whatever you want. You can actually upload that from your Bluetooth, from your BlueLink account on your phone, for instance. But anyway, so that's that. We also have, of course, quick access to the map here. We can find charging stations. We can go directly home. Not sure what this button is here. Let's see. Okay, that's just your favorites. So that's what that is. So there's no favorites right now. But yeah, let's tap on the map and go into it and have a look here. So you'll notice we got a main map. We have a mini map on the right there. The mini map on the right is going to be there, you know, regardless of what screen we're in. We can actually go to FM, for instance, and boom, there's our mini map. Okay, so that's why there's 2 maps in here. But if we don't want it, we just shove it off the screen. Top left corner, you can see we have our search button. Now, we can either search for an address in here or a point of interest. We can use the built-in voice recognition button here. But in order to use that, you're going to want to have BlueLink set up because it's going to be able to access an online database of information. So for now, we won't bother trying the voice assistant. This one right here is to change your orientation on the map, so you can go top down, north, up, or sort of a 3D view. You can change the navigation volumes. Okay. We can change the scale or the zoom on the map there. So pretty easy to use. There is a menu button here, which you'll notice we have the ability to show traffic info, EV range, total, what it, kind of expects as the crow flies, nearby information. Navigation settings, online map. So the online manual is pretty cool. This I can now scan. It'll take me to the online manual page that talks about the map. So that's kind of nice. All right, so that's the navigation system. Most people aren't going to really use the built-in system anyway. They're going to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This one here takes us directly into the radio. You can see all the radio channels that the car has found on its scan. And then we have the accessibility for the AM and Sirius XM satellite radio. So yeah, you can see here now it's searching for stations. We also have HD radio on this vehicle, so we'll turn that on right away. HD radio basically allows it to pull a higher def signal for the radio, but also get some HD radio data, so things like weather and traffic and whatnot. Again, we have the menu here where we can then tune the stations manually, enter a station in. We have SoundHound ability, so SoundHound will tell you, the song that's playing, that sort of thing. We can go directly to sound settings here or the online manual. And the online manual is the same thing, gives us a QR code, so cool. And then to the right of that, we have our EV screen. Let's bring that up real quick here. So this, of course, is a new design as well for 2024. Shows us our current battery percentage, which shows us where the nearest charging station is. Apparently that's at Alpine Refrigeration. I had no idea that they had a station there, but that's a new flow station. So what's nice about this now is that if you navigate to a charging station, it does have the ability to pre-warm the battery for the time that you get there. So that's pretty cool. Keep in mind, so this is an AC station, so you can actually filter out, but we do have some DC stations here. But if I go to filters, I can actually filter out the AC stations and just have it go to DC fast charging stations. I can even filter out the company, whatnot. Personally, I wouldn't use this unless I needed to precondition the battery, but I would just recommend using PlugShare to find stations anyway. So it's all well and good. It's kind of cool that it's there. Shows us our range currently with the climate control on and with climate control off. And then if I press this button right here, it takes us back into that screen. So I go back to EV here. Okay, and if I swipe to the left, we have our battery status. So if I tap that, brings up, roughly how long it's going to take to charge back up. We have our scheduled charging, which we can change here under AC charger, whether or not to lock the cable, that sort of thing. We can change our departure times in here, and I love this because now, let's say we leave at 7 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday, I can actually have it set the climate control to a nice comfortable temperature and even have the defrost on. So I don't even have to think about it. It'll just do that for us every time we're going to work. The car is going to be warmed up and ready to go, and the battery is going to be preconditioned. So all of that in there is pretty cool. Nearby stations, charging connector lock, which we just saw. And then here's our battery preconditioning, which we can activate right from here. So let's go to activate battery preconditioning. So it controls the battery temperature to enhance fast charging performance. You can set the fast charging station as the destination or use it as a waypoint or manually operate the function. So manually operating the function is new. So we don't actually have to turn this on, because when we navigate to a fast charging station, it's going to automatically precondition the battery. But I can just hit activate now and it starts preconditioning the battery. So that's also new for 2024 in the Kona EV. The Ioniqs do not have that yet. The Ioniqs, you still need to navigate to a destination. So that's pretty cool. Now, if we go into utility mode, here's where, sorry, I'm in the electric vehicle screen here still, but here's where we can activate utility mode. So basically, it'll keep all of the 12-volt accessories running, but the car won't necessarily be on. But it'll continue to keep that 12-volt battery charged, from the main traction battery. So that's kind of nice. So that's great if you want to sleep in the car overnight or whatnot. All right, next thing below that is smart regeneration. So here's where we can enable and disable smart regen. Personally, don't like using smart regen, but basically this takes a little bit of the guesswork out. You put it on smart regen, and the vehicle will kind of decide what best regeneration level to have it on. And then we have our charging started voice alert, so we can actually adjust how loud the voice alert is when we plug the car in to charge. So that's interesting. Actually, I have mine on high because I kind of like it. You plug the car in, it's like charging started. It's quite loud, actually. So the icons along the bottom just take us back through some of these different things that we've already looked at. I will point out, though, that this button here, we haven't. You do have your current energy consumption by each individual component in the vehicle. And we can't tap on any of these, unfortunately, but it just shows us how much energy by percentage and how much energy currently is being used by these different things. So you can notice here that climate control is only drawing 1 kilowatt. The electronics are only using 0.3 kilowatts. Battery care has used 6.6 kilowatts, or is currently, using 6.6 kilowatts because, of course, I turned on the battery preconditioning. So it's currently warming up the battery. So it's actually using the battery. I turned it back on. I should probably turn it off. Turn that off. Come back to this. Boom, 0. Pretty cool, eh? So that is where you can turn on battery preconditioning manually. Nice. All right, that's the EV screen. So let's swipe over to the left here, and we have our phone screen where, of course, you can make phone calls and look through your contact history and all that sort of stuff. Phone protection is Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Voice memos where you can record your own voice to play back later. Weather. So weather requires Blue Link, so we're going to leave that for now, but that'll give you the forecast, basically. Valet mode also requires Blue Link, allows you to put the vehicle into a restricted mode if you're handing over the keys to a valet. Setup we're going to get back to in a moment. Vehicle diagnostics is part of Blue Link, so you can actually see what codes come up if there's a problem. Maintenance is just your maintenance reminder, that sort of thing. We have HD radio data, so let's have a look at that. So here is our traffic in the area. Let's see what that comes up with. Yep, so there's some traffic problems nearby. And then we also have our Doppler radar. Is there any rain in the forecast here? No, there's nothing wrong with the weather right now. It's actually quite nice. What they will have here in gas models is fuel prices. That's kind of cool too. Notifications, again, part of Blue Link, so that's Blue Link notifications. And then we have our online manual, which we can scan to bring up the online manual. This will just take you to the main page of the online manual. Now, you may have noticed a little line up here, and something did pop up just a moment ago, and that is quick control. So this is kind of cool. So we quickly shut the display off from here. We can change the navigation guidance voice, so I can actually mute it from here or just adjust the level.
Will be at this volume.
So that's kind of cool. We can put the vehicle into quiet mode real quick, which will shut off the rear speakers and limit the front volume. We can turn on and off the navigation beeps and sounds. We can change the split screen if there is actually the split screen up here, which is not currently. I can change the illumination, so right from here, and it's on auto right now, so I can adjust that, or I can go into settings from here to adjust what comes up in the quick settings. So we have our beep volume level, our voice memo. We have, let's see here, tone, which I'm just going to put all these up here. What did that say? Oh, not enough space. That's okay. We don't really need those two. So done. Okay, so here we go. So now I can go straight to the sound settings for the tone. So I'm going to get back to settings in a moment anyway, but yeah, it's kind of cool. So now some really quick settings, and we can just drop that down. I don't know if I like these particular quick settings. I mean, I kind of wish that there was different things in here, but yeah, whatever. It's there. It's new. All right, let's go to setup. Okay, the setup screen is quite busy. There's a lot of things in here. There's one more here, actually. one whole screen for one additional icon. Interesting. But yeah, let's start with vehicle. So in vehicle, this is where you can change your driver assistance settings. So we have, we're going to start at the top here, driver assistance. We have multiple different things in here for safety related stuff. So I'm going to start with the driving convenience. We have our smart cruise control settings. So how far it picks up vehicles and adjusts the speed. So as the setting level increases, the distance to the vehicle ahead increases. So we're going to decrease that to near. We're going to change the acceleration to fast. So when the car in front of you speeds up or slows down, this car will react a little bit quicker. Same with the reaction speed there, so we'll keep that as fast as possible. Under drive mode, we have climate control in eco mode, so we should just turn that on. That should just be on all the time as far as I'm concerned, because even in eco mode, the climate control is quite strong. It works really well. Under climate settings, you can see here we can recirculate the air on washer fluid use or going through a tunnel. Not sure why that isn't on, but we'll turn that on. Under lights, you can see we have ambient lighting in this vehicle, which is awesome. So we can see a little bit of ambient lighting right there. Now, it doesn't actually flash like that in real life, but I'm going to change the color. You'll notice we have a color wheel here, and that is going to change there. So I'm going to change the color while you're looking at it. Check that out. Pretty cool. Awesome. So not only does it come out there, but it also comes out a couple other places in the vehicle as well. It's not dark right now, so I can't really see where it's coming out, but yeah, pretty cool. So that's your ambient light. We also have the one-touch turn signal. I really like the new layout here. It's actually really easy to use. So the one-touch turn signal is where you just tap on the signal stock and it flashes a few times. I've set that to 5 flashes. I figure that's a more accurate interval. We have our welcome light, so as you approach the vehicle, the light comes on in the door handle. Headlight delay, so that the headlights stay on when you shut the car off, so it gives you a safe trip back to your house. High beam assist, of course, as you're approaching a vehicle, your high beams automatically turn off. And interior lights always on, so illuminates the interior buttons and switches at all times. So whether or not your headlights are on, your interior lights will also just always be on. That is also good. All right, under door, we have auto lock, auto unlock, 2-press unlock, remote window control. So you can actually, from a distance, use your key fob remote to open up the window simply by holding the unlock button. Digital keys, this is where you would add your smartphone as a digital key. Convenience, we have our rear occupant alert. So if the rear door is open at any time, it'll remember that, so that when you shut the car off, it'll remind you to check the rear seats. And this is also where we can change our service interval. We have our wireless charging system for mobile devices, auto rear wipers, so when you put the vehicle into reverse, it turns on the rear wiper, assuming the front wipers are on. And of course, the front wipers are automatic. As you can see right here, there's your auto button. All right, and then if we hit the back button, it just takes us to the regular vehicle settings all screen menu here. We can back out one more time, takes us all the way back to settings. So we're gonna go to EV settings. So we were already in here. We saw the battery preconditioning option and the utility mode and smart regen and stuff. So we've kind of seen all of this already. Navigation settings. Here we can display the vehicle speed, traffic info. So when you're navigating with the built-in navigation system, it's going to put all of that up on the screen for you. That's kind of nice. We have our different guidance options, alerts, maps. Yeah, it's just your navigation system. Sound settings, so we have our startup volume limit. We definitely want that on. Dynamic speed compensation, so as you speed up, the volume gets louder. We can change the position of the audio, the tone of the audio, so treble, bass, mid-range. We have our guidance volumes here, which we saw earlier on the nav screen. We have our radio noise reduction, so we'll leave that on minimum. Driving assistance, so the different levels of warnings. It does also have haptic warning, so it'll vibrate the steering wheel if there's some sort of a danger that it's detecting. We have lane safety audible warning. This is where you can turn that off. Not sure why you would want that off, so I'm going to leave that on. Driving safety priority lowers all the audio volumes when driving safety system sounds a warning. And then we have our parking safety priority, same idea. When you put the vehicle into reverse, for instance, or the parking cameras come on, it'll lower the audio volume. And then we can change our Android Auto and Apple CarPlay volumes there as well. And that was all in sound. Sound device connections, where you connect your phone up. User profile, as I mentioned before, you can actually adjust your user profile settings. Voice recognition, this is just if you want to adjust the number of voice recognition prompts. So if you press the voice recognition, you don't want it to speak a whole lot, you can actually just reduce the prompts there. Screen layout, this is where you can adjust your appearance. So if I put it on classic, basically what it's going to do now on the left hand side here, so instead of a digital instrument cluster, now it's sort of classic. So here's simple, here's classic, and we can also change the style, or we can link it to the drive mode. So now I've got it linked to the drive mode with this button here. If I change this drive mode now, you'll see it runs through the different various screens. So that's kind of cool. We have our screensaver, so that's just a clock. Basically, if I turn the screen off now by holding the volume button, we have a clock. Okay, so that is split screen. We can adjust the different things that come up in that little floating window here that we saw earlier with the map on it. All right, and then we have buttons, so we can adjust what each one of those custom buttons does. So we have the nav button here, which we had set up to go to the phone projection. So that would be for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We have a custom button here, which normally I would set to the home screen, but because there is actually a home button, that would be silly. So I'm going to put that on reject or end phone call so that the next owner of this vehicle, and of course they'll be able to set this all up themselves as well, but basically you got an answer button here, maybe you want a hang up button. So that's what that'll do now. And then we can also change the mode button on the steering wheel, which is normally where music comes from. You can run the different options here so that when you press that button, it kind of cycles through those different locations of music. And then we have our cluster and head-up display. So we can change the head-up display options. We have, first off, that's where you can enable it. We can adjust, the height of the head-up display, the brightness, and then you can also change the content that comes up in the head-up display. And that includes turn-by-turn directions, obviously now both with built-in maps and Android Auto, probably Apple CarPlay as well. Media information, so the music that's playing, the call information for an incoming call or outgoing call, driving assistance information, and blind spot safety information. And then we also have the cluster illumination, cluster theme selection, which we just saw, and content selection, so wiper lights display, blind spot view monitor, that sort of thing. All right. By the way, speaking of blind view monitor, when we put the vehicle into reverse, as you can see, the top-down camera comes up, and I think, yep, it's zoomable, so you can zoom in on things there. Look at the new animations for things that are close to you. So if I move forward here, look at it adjust. That's super cool. Very, very clear, clear screen, easy to see. You got dynamic steering lines here as well. And you'll notice on the right-hand side here, the dynamic steering lines even show the throw of the vehicle. Really, really well done. And of course, you also have the cool sort of 3D rendering of the vehicle here. So that's kind of neat. You can see all the way around it. And then of course, you got some settings here, park distance warning, top view parking guides, etc. So lots of cool stuff in there. If I put the vehicle into forwards now, you can see you can change the view of that screen as well. If maybe you're just parallel parking, you want to see both sides, and then you just have a big wide screen of the front as well. So lots of different things that you can kind of adjust on that screen. So that's the surround view camera system. And then of course we have some BlueLink information here where you can activate it, get modem information, that sort of thing. All right, swiping over to the left here, I can go to General and show you that, hey, check this out. It has OTA updates, or at least it will once Canada starts doing OTA updates. They haven't started it yet. But here's also where you can change your date and time, your keyboard layout, your units, so things like your distance units, temperature units, that sort of thing. So yeah, that is pretty much it for that screen. Now, obviously, this car, of course, comes with many, many safety features, including autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assistance, pedestrian detection, cyclist detection, junction turning detection, all that great stuff. Didn't actually see that in the settings, strangely enough, but it's all there. It's all, built in. There is a lot of capability when it comes to safety settings on these, or safety features on these vehicles. It'll even hit the brakes if you're backing up and it detects something behind you. It'll hit the brakes as well. It's actually a rather sudden jolt. It's kind of creepy. But yeah, all of that is built in, of course, and it comes with the vehicle as standard, whether it's the lower trim or the higher trim. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything. There is a lot to talk about in this vehicle. I apologize that this video has taken this long, but thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below with those questions, because I'm more than happy to respond. Most of my viewers haven't actually subscribed. It's super easy to subscribe, and it's really no skin off your back. I mean, it literally does nothing. You just hit subscribe, and that's it. I mean, yeah, if I do another video, you might get a notification that there's a video from my channel up on the screen, but I put a lot of hard work into these videos, and I'm only at just over 10,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for a few years now. I know that my content isn't the most professional, but it's probably the most complete. I put a lot of effort into showing everything about the car, not only to help out my clients, but to help out you guys out there in internet land. Anyone that's looking for one of these vehicles and is interested in one, or anyone that's purchased one, can probably make use of this video. So thank you so much again, and have a Merry Christmas, and till next time, take care.